they have been rumored for months now about like a potential deal with the Lakers doing a some sort of deal. Originally, the original trade was Miles Turner and Buddy Hield for um, uh, Russell Westbrook, two unprotected first round picks, and Taylor Horton Tucker. And they also wanted us to take on Daniel Tice, which is a
Yeah.
3-year deal. Lakers obviously said no, which makes sense because that was more than what the Nets wanted for Kyrie Irving. So that made no sense. And then about a couple weeks ago, we got a report that they would do two unprotected first round picks, which the Lakers said no to. A lot of people are divided on that. A lot of people think that the Lakers should have done the deal for two unprotected first, get off of Russ, not going to the season with that. You get Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Miles Turner and Anthony Davis would be the best front court duo in the league, which I agree with. They would be. Buddy Hield solves our shooting problem. You get a guy
That'd be
that,
fun to watch.
yeah, it would absolutely be fun to watch. And so that's the whole thing. Nothing developed. Lakers said no, pass. Thanks though. Indiana Pacers, Bob Kravitz, who is a very reputable, known like insider, specifically for the Indiana Pacers, basically said that hey, the Pacers need to get a deal done. They're essentially desperate to get a deal done. That they don't want to lose Miles Turner for nothing because Miles Turner is leaving after this season. We've gotten the reports that he doesn't really want to be there. He wants to be traded, but he's going to ride it out because he's going to honor his contract and all that stuff. Now, the problem with the deal I have, and then of course I want to hear your thoughts, Jake, is
Yeah.
there are a lot of risks because inherently speaking, both first, worry about it 5 years from now, whatever. Get the best team you can now, and to a degree, I do agree with that. But the problem is that it doesn't solve one of our biggest problems, which is wing defense. We really need a wing defender, which we don't have. Granted, maybe we get somebody on the buyout market, something like that. Mo Harkless is expected to get out, and we'll talk about him and a couple others soon.
Yeah.
But maybe get something like that, and you could do the deal. Maybe it makes sense. The other thing is that primarily Miles Turner is the thing that I have the biggest concern with. One, he's a flight risk because he's a free agent. Let's say Lakers give up all their assets and he just leaves after this year. He wants 20 plus million. I don't think he's worth that. He's a 12-7 guy, 12.7 rebounds. He is the leading shot blocker every year, but there's more to defense than just blocking shots. He is a good defensive big man. Don't get me wrong. He could play the 4. He could play the 5. Yeah. He also gives us a little bit of Anthony Davis insurance. If Anthony Davis ends up going down for, 20 games or something like that, you got Miles Turner. Problem is, beyond Miles Turner being a flight risk and just his stats in general, the biggest problem is he's injury prone too. He's had injuries as much, if not more, than Anthony Davis the last few years. He's coming off of a season-ending injury. But to be fair, there was a lot of talks that he could have played, that he was good to go. But at that point, the Pacers were already so bad, they might as well have just tanked, and no reason to bring him back, no reason to have him come when he wouldn't have made a factor. But regardless, he still missed most of the season because of an injury. Now, the problem is we do that deal, we do all that stuff. Miles Turner gets hurt. Anthony Davis gets hurt. We're still terrible. We gave up all of our assets, and we're stuck with this team. Because that's the thing. Okay. Like, if we do this deal, that's our team for the next 3 to 4 years. Because you're gonna extend. You're not gonna trade all that stuff to get Miles Turner and then just not extend him or anything. So he wants 20 plus million. That means you're gonna have to pay him essentially 20 plus million. So let's say you even get a discount and it's 19 million. You got him. You got Buddy Hield, who's got 40 million for the next 2 seasons. So there's that. And then you got LeBron and Anthony. That's all your cap room. That's everything. Now it's just those 4 and a bunch of vet minimum guys. Which, if it's great. If it's good enough to win a championship, then perfect. Then you're a contender for the next 3-4 years. But if the opposite happens and you gave up all your assets, you have no way out. You're talking about now a Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng situation all over again, and we just finished paying Luol Deng. So,
Yeah.
anyway, what are your thoughts?
See, and I'll tell you what else too, which is I think it might be a bad idea to do this trade because I think longevity has its place. So as much as we or no, I should say I, because you're the optimist, but as much as I have came on here and said Russell, we should just get rid of Westbrook. Here's why longevity has its place because if we go with those two, we're gonna have to start all over, gel again. None of them have played with LeBron. None of them, I don't believe, none of them have played with AD. But we're gonna start all over again. Have to
Buddy Hield
re-gel. So
did.
whatever. Okay, sorry.
Buddy Hield was
So
on the
whatever.
Pelicans.
Oh,
I know
that's right.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Way long.
that was a minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're gonna have to re-gel all over again. So whatever progress we've made with Westbrook so far, it's like pushing the reset button. So correct me if I'm wrong, but how many years was Kawhi Leonard in Toronto before they won the championship?
1 year.
See, 1 year. Okay, so that to me is still kind of rare. You know what I mean? Because like
It
you
is.
look at the you look at the great dynasties, right? So you got Golden State, you got Lakers, you got Celtics, but all these guys, like I said, besides Toronto, because that was a freak of a nature team too. But that doesn't really happen a lot of times.
Yeah,
It
but
takes a
to
couple.
be fair, to add to your point though, is that team was already they basically just swapped DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi
Yeah,
Leonard. So the team itself
that's true.
had already been there for years. Like so
Exactly.
you are right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and that's Kawhi too. Like
Yeah.
the stars can kind of come in and figure it out if they're. It takes a certain type of player, but my point is that if you have to kind of restart again, it's just I feel like you're just pushing the reset button all over again. So if we want to get back to being a dynasty, I think that we should stick with what we got, unless, like you said, unless a Kyrie, we could use Kyrie because that's a different type of solution to the puzzle, if you will. But yeah, it takes time to win championships. I mean, you look like it's like Golden State. That team was in place before they won that first championship a few years ago. That team was in place for a good 2 to 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Lakers. He was playing with Anthony Davis, even with the Miami Heat when he was with Bosh and Wade. It still took a year to gel and practice and get used to each other. So
They didn't
I
win the
think
first year.
you said they did win it for sure.
No, I said Miami didn't win the first. I mean, they made it
No,
to the
I know.
championship, but
No, I know. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why it still took them like a year to, like I said,
yeah,
and they came close. They came very close. But that's also with Bosh, Wade, and LeBron. So
at a time where that was like the only. I mean, Boston big three, but they were already like they were old and on their way out.
yeah,
So I mean, they were really the only big three in the NBA at that time, like superstar level big three at that time.
yeah.
You know, but yeah, sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. I just think chemistry has its place, and I think that,
Yeah.
like I said, we're going to be taking a step backwards. At least for those two. Now, like I said, I could see if it was like a bad example, but like a Blake Griffin or something like that. Somebody who could come in, gel with the team quick, and possibly get us to the finals. But I don't. For those two, I think we would be going backwards.
Well, so I don't think Buddy. I think Buddy Hield would be an easy natural fit because he wouldn't
Okay.
have to adjust. Like my problem with Buddy Hield though is he is an incredible 3-point shooter. Don't get me wrong, he is a great
Yeah.
3-point shooter, but he's very one-dimensional in that sense. Like he's essentially a swing and door on defense.
Yeah.
There's no defense with his end. He's not. I mean, he can create his own shot a little bit, but not as good as as other players can. But all the Lakers would need him to do is just shoot, essentially just catch and shoot. Like, so LeBron drives, boom, Buddy Hield's wide open, knock down the three. So I think Buddy Hield would
So
be
like a
able to fit.
Birdman for like almost like a Birdman for Miami, or like
I mean, it would
a
be
Ray Allen.
yeah, or like or when they had the Machine in Miami,
Yeah.
where like all it was just knocking down threes and stuff. But like the thing is that like I don't think Buddy Hield would be a tough fit, but I do have my concerns about Buddy Hield Miles Turner, because yes, he's played with a big before. He played with Sabonis, and he's played both power forward and he's played center. So I think you'd have the natural fit, but he would go from basically always being the like second or third option on the Pacers to like the fourth or fifth option on
Yeah.
the Lakers. So is he going to be okay with that? Where he's not going to be, he's not like there. There's probably going to be games where he only gets like 5 or 6 touches. Is that something he's going to be okay with? Like that's something you got to keep in mind too. Is that like
Yeah.
a player that's used to taking 15 shots a game, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you're only going to get like 10 or like less. I mean, we saw even guys like in Miles Turner. Don't get me wrong, Miles Turner can put the ball in the hoop for sure, but like one of the big complaints with like Rudy Gobert on the Utah Jazz was like he complained that he wasn't getting touches and he couldn't even shoot, but he was so used to getting, and that's a big question with Minnesota because Rudy's going from being the second option to like the fourth or fifth option on the Timberwolves, and that's a concern that I have for Miles Turner on the Lakers team. Is like, is he going to be okay with only getting a couple touches a game and just basically being a spot up 3 big in the 4 out 1 in offense? Because he's going to probably operate as the Brook Lopez because we're running the Milwaukee Bucks offense. So he's going to end up being just kind of like the Brook Lopez where 90% of his shots are going to be from the 3-point line. And he'll get some low post touches and stuff like that. And maybe they switch it and tweak it a little bit because you have Davis and you have Turner. But nonetheless, like the ball's going to go through LeBron. It's going to go through Davis. So at best, Miles Turner is the third option. But realistically, I think you're going to have guys like like some of the guards like Kendrick Nunn and Walker and Patrick Beverly and guys like that. They're going to be on the wing spread out and probably more open shots. So they're going to be getting their shot. Like what I'm saying is like Turner's going to go from getting X amount of touches game in and game out, being the second guy, stuff like that. It's just, will he be willing to buy into the role that is asked of him, which is just essentially, we need you to play defense, we need you to rebound, and we need you to knock down the outside shot. And the guy's only been a 12-7 guy.
Yeah.
What is he gonna be as like the fourth or fifth option? 9-4 guy? Like, it's
so
like,
is it so no. Is it ego that you're worried about, or is it like performance? Is it like, hey, like it's just my natural ability to, like you said, be 12-7, or is it more so like put the ego aside and buy in?
It's a little bit of both. Part of it is like, because you got to understand he's young. He was like one of the guys in Indiana to now he's going to be like essentially a role player with the Lakers. He thinks in his head, he thinks he's a $20 million a year player. And there might be some team that would give him that, but no contending team, no real team is going to give him $20 million unless they just really need a center. I just throwing this out there, they wouldn't be able to, but like if for whatever reason the Brooklyn Nets all of a sudden had 20 million in cap space, they're not going to, but let's say that they all of a sudden did, they need a center so bad, they might just give Miles Turner that 20 million just because they're like, okay, he's a shot blocking center, he does exactly what we need. But like it's only in rare circumstances, rare situations. But if you're the Lakers, you kind of don't have a choice in the matter because you can't run the risk of him leaving. So like you have to pay, like if he wants $20 million, you have to pay him that $20 million because you don't want him to go into the offseason and he ends up leaving, and then it's just, like I said, the injury concerns and stuff like that. I'm not saying he wouldn't buy in. I'm not saying that it's always a change. It's always an adjustment, to go from being a top 2 or 3 guy on a tanking team to like, I'm on a contender. The goal here is to win a championship. And now I'm the 4th or 5th guy. That's it's a big change for any player.
No, we've seen it before, but it's just it takes a certain type of mindset. Because like you look at even Kevin Love, which was, I think, a huge adjustment. Like he went from being the guy, not just like number 2, number 3. Like Kevin Love was the guy. And he went from that to taking kind of arguably a third seat, because you got Kyrie, you got LeBron on the Cavs
Chris
team.
Bosh
so
too.
Yeah, no, really.
Chris Bosh was the guy in Toronto.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that it's because players like that can see the end goal and the end vision. But it would be easy for me to say, okay, well, if he can do it, he's the number one guy, then a number two guy could do it just as easy. But I think it's the mindset. I think it's the mindset. How bad do you want the championship? You know what I mean? How like you said, be willing to buy in.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing too about because Kevin Love is a great example because Kevin Love, he essentially went from being a dominant 2010 guy every single
Yeah.
night to being essentially a spot up shooter in the corner. Like that was his role essentially at Cleveland. And
No,
he
it really
embraced it
was.
and he took it and everything. Like at least Chris Bosh, he got to play center for them. So he was still,
Yeah.
his rebounds were still up. He did kind of get relegated to being a stretch big, but he got to get his mid-range touches. He
Yeah.
got to get his, low post touches, stuff like that. Like you couldn't play Kevin Love at the 5. I mean, they did in some spots, but for the most part, you couldn't consistently play him at the 5. So he had to play the 4, and like you needed him
No,
to
he would
just
get
basically
banged up down there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you just needed him to stay there in the corner, basically, and like so he just became a basically spot up shooter for the Cavs, and just completely embraced it and took it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of my fear with Miles Turner. Like, is he going to come in and say, okay, like the goal here is to win a championship? So
Okay, yeah.
I will be the spot up 3 guy if you need me to, and I will be the shot blocker, and I will be the rebounder. Or is he going to come in and be that guy that's like, no, I want my low post touches. I want my, this, that, and the other. Like
Yeah.
I'm used to this. Okay, well, you were on a terrible Indiana Pacers team, so of course you were able to do all that. But now
Exactly, yeah.
we need you for this, for the greater good. You didn't have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on that team. You had in the heyday, you had Sabonis, and now you have Halliburton, and like, but what other than that, like, what do you got? Like, so it's going to be a completely different change, and I think that's something that a lot of people have really talked about. That it's just like, will it work? Because like everyone just assumes and looks at it and goes, man, that would be the best front court in the NBA. Two big shot blockers. Good luck. I've even gotten caught up in the hype myself. Like, I've said, like, imagine having Patrick Beverly and Dennis Schroeder as your 2 pit bulls in the very front of the club. You got your 2 big ass bouncers in Miles Turner and Anthony Davis in the back of the club, and then you got LeBron James as the host. Man, like, good luck. That would be such a good defensive team. You have size.
Fun.
Yeah, you have size, you have defense, you have peskiness, you have everything you could ever want on that team. Like, that team to me,
any small team is going to get destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, like, good luck. But it's just